out of the largest global exchanges, we're the first one who's actually taking Brazil the way it deserves to be taken. For the past 2 years, we have been building this infrastructure in Brazil, and we're seeing a lot of success by taking this approach, building something that feels locally, but at the same time allowing Brazilians to navigate more sophisticated and robust products that we offer worldwide.
Welcome to From the Frontlines, Conversations with OKX Singapore, where we explore how digital assets are reshaping markets worldwide. I'm Osh from OKX Singapore, and today I'm joined by Gui Sacamone, CEO of OKX Brazil. We'll be talking about what it takes to win in entrenched markets and how digital assets are helping to drive financial inclusion. Welcome, Gui.
Thank you, Osh. It's great to be here back in the vibrant Singapore, seeing one of our largest offices and getting together with the team. So thank you so much for having me on.
Always happy to welcome you to Singapore, Gui. Gui, before we dive into the market itself, I'd love for our listeners to get to know you a little better. Can you share your professional journey, how you got started, what eventually led you to step into the role of CEO of OKX Brazil?
Absolutely. So I'm Brazilian, born and raised in Brazil. I've started my career in investment banking, actually, where then I moved to roles that were both focused on growth and or focused on business development. So I spent a good time of my career at Meta, both in Brazil and New York City, supporting financial institutions grow their business in these markets. I've also spent some time back in Brazil supporting other crypto exchanges, building their business development programs in Brazil. For 2 years, I've been leading the operation of OKX in Brazil, which has been one of the greatest adventures so far in my career.
Really shows how leadership journeys can take unexpected turns. And of course, stepping into the role meant facing a very competitive market in Brazil. Right? From what I understand, Brazil is known for strong local exchanges and financial institutions. When OKX, a global exchange, entered, how did you navigate that environment? And what have been some of the toughest challenges you faced so far?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So when we were actually building our strategic planning for Brazil, we basically divided the market into two large universes: what we call the local exchanges, as you mentioned, and the global exchanges. So when we look into these two universes, so when you're focusing first on the local exchanges, these guys they will be able to build very easy to use products. They have great customer support because, in the end of the day, they're Brazilians building products to Brazilians. But at the same time, they lack resources since their presence is mostly in one jurisdiction, and their product portfolio is very limited as well. On the other hand, you have the global players, right? These guys, they will have a lot of resources, great product portfolio, but they lack the ability to localize their product. So that they will have complicated user interfaces, and their customer support usually will not be as strong as someone who's operating out of Brazil. We saw the opportunity to be in the intersection of these two worlds, right? Where we wanted to offer our global crypto excellence in a way that is tailored to the Brazilian market. For the past 2 years, we have been building this infrastructure in Brazil, and we're seeing a lot of success by taking this approach. So I like to say that out of the largest global exchanges, we're the first one who's actually taking Brazil the way it deserves to be taken. Building something that feels locally, but at the same time allowing Brazilians to navigate more sophisticated and robust products that we offer worldwide.
Very nice. Leveraging global tech and product capabilities while also offering that local touch, showing that understanding of the local community and needs. Actually not so different from what we are trying to do in Singapore as well. I think there are quite a lot of similarities there. If we talk about OKX as a global exchange, right, with scale and trust, and the need to be at the same time hyper-local in Brazil. One thing that we think a lot about in Singapore is how do we find the right local partners, right, to collaborate with? And is this something that you have explored or found success with in Brazil? Are there particular types of partnerships that you think worked really well?
Absolutely. So when we first started in Brazil, we didn't have a brand. So partnership was one of the most important things that we can have. We wanted to make sure that we could echo a lot of our brand reputation that we have globally in Brazil as well. So one of the ways that we hacked trust was building a strong partnership from the beginning. And I'll give you an example. Fiat Rails is one of the most important things for Brazilians, right? We have one of the most sophisticated payment systems in the world called Pix. And I knew that this was extremely important for us to get started in Brazil. There was no opportunity in Brazil without Pix integration. But we wanted to take this Pix integration one step farther. We wanted to make sure that we partner with a service provider here that would be recognized by Brazilians. a bank that people would see and trust. From the beginning, we partnered with Banco BTG, which is one of the largest banks in Latin America, which gave us a lot of room to actually get started in Brazil with a strong partnership and a stronger brand behind our operation. So that's one of the examples that has been working really well. On the brand perspective, we have always been leveraging our international partners, more specifically McLaren, also Manchester City. Last year, we did a major activation. It was 30 years from the passing of one of the best drivers of all time, Ayrton Senna, a Brazilian legend. And we were able to come really hard in Brazil, in the most famous financial part of São Paulo, where we actually have we had a very large event celebrating the 30 years of the legacy of Ayrton Senna and McLaren. So these are some of the examples that we have been able to leverage, kind of hack this trust and brand connection with the Brazilian users.
Hey, thanks for sharing those really exciting examples of the right partnerships, tapping into the right communities and connecting with users in a hyper-local way. And when you look at adoption, can you share which groups are driving it in Brazil, right? Is it mostly retail, institutional, or a mix of both? Were there any surprises in your journey along the way about who your most active users turned out to be in Brazil?
Yeah. So that's actually a good question, because we're going through a very interesting period of time where we're seeing the target audience kind of transforming as we go. And I'll explain why. So traditionally, we started with retail presence. So we were trying to always grow our retail user base, partnering with a traditional crypto influencers, crypto KOLs, a lot of different types of levers that we were pushing to grow. And then we hired we started building our institutional team in Brazil as well, which has been super helpful to help us build the ecosystem for institutions as well. But funny enough, about a month ago, we launched our OKX Pay and OKX Card. And because of it is so challenging for Brazilians when they travel abroad to spend their funds because of a lot of taxes and different implications that banks will impose into some of the users when they're trying to use their funds abroad. Crypto is becoming something a lot more familiar to people that are not necessarily into the crypto industry, if that makes sense. So as we have been able to completely separate the OKX Pay experience from the exchange, we're seeing a lot of users that are not necessarily familiar with crypto. They're just learning crypto for the first time. But because we have been able to offer an experience that almost feels like a bank experience with a card connected to it, we're seeing a different kind of addressable market that is building ahead of us, which are Brazilians that want to travel and want to be able to easily spend their funds abroad. These guys are really taking advantage of this new product, which is OKX Pay and Card, in ways that we were not expecting before.
That's a really interesting point, and it really leads to a theme I also wanted to discuss with you. Brazil is often described as a country where financial inclusion is a major opportunity, right? And what you just described is really about leveraging our product capabilities to broaden this financial inclusion potential. How do you see digital assets helping people who've traditionally been underserved by the financial system?
Yeah, so as I just mentioned, travel in Brazil is fairly expensive. Just to give you an example, when you go to travel, there are usually high banking spreads on the FX conversion between BRL and another currency that Brazilians may want to use. And the second thing is there are taxes every time you spend your money abroad. But that only applies as of today to traditional financial instruments. And crypto is not considered one. And crypto is global. There's no jurisdictions to crypto, right? So with the introduction of OKX Pay and OKX Card, we're simply allowing Brazilians to travel in an easier way and a more efficient way to spend their funds abroad.
Thanks for sharing that really powerful example on financial inclusion, Gui. To close, I'd love to ask, what's the one story or lesson from Brazil that you'd love the rest of the world to pay attention to?
Thanks, Ash. I actually shared two things that I think we're very proud in Brazil. So the first one, as I mentioned before, taking Brazil as it deserves to be taken. I think making your product feel like a local build is something extremely important for Brazilians. And the level of customer support that we have been able to offer has also been extremely positive. I'll give you an example. In Trustpilot in Brazil, a website called Reclame Aqui, OKX is one of the leading exchanges when it comes to how users are grading our customer services. We're actually the highest grade among all the global exchanges, and I think we're third among all of them in Brazil. Building a product that is close to what Brazilians are used to and being close to the users when they have questions has been something that we're very proud of. And the second thing that I would say is just launching OKX Pay and OKX Card. This has been so important for Brazilians to be able to travel more easily and use their funds whenever they want without the bureaucracy that traditional financial systems were offering them. And this is something that we were only able to do because we actually have boots on the ground. We have a team in Brazil that hears and understands the needs of the Brazilians, which are sometimes very specific. Using that feedback to iterate products and services that can actually make a difference in the daily life, and also applying a very close customer relationship with our CS agents has been something we're very proud of. And I think this is some of the reasons that are making OKX Brazil so successful.
On that note, what can users in Brazil look forward to from OKX in the upcoming months?
The other thing that we're very excited about, which is a recent launch that we haven't made a lot of noise on the ground yet, is what we call Global Trading Account, which is simply allowing Brazilians to leverage services that are not under OKX Brazil, but under our international services. And this is something built for traders, people that are not necessarily satisfied with just spot trading and OKX Pay and Card. They're going to be able to access global products, global services, more listings, more opportunities for them to trade more, earn more, and take more advantage of everything that OKX can serve globally.
That's a great strategy, and we actually hear that a lot from global tech players, right? When they enter a new market, it's about, okay, we have the global tech capabilities, let's make it local, let's be hyper-local, let's appeal to the specific wants and needs of the local communities. But more often than not, it's much easier said than done. So, in adopting this strategy, what were some of the hurdles you encountered, initial teething issues, and how did you overcome them?
We decided to go really deep into this. So we hired a head of product for Brazil, someone who had experience building products for Brazilians, Rafael, who has been a great PM leading our efforts in Brazil and really making Brazil one of the highest NPS scores that we have worldwide because of that, again, the touch of product experience and local experience that we were able to offer. And the second thing is really building a customer support team locally. We wanted to make sure that Brazilians were being served by Brazilians. That is a very important thing because there's some cultural aspects in Brazil that sometimes are very important. We need the human touch. We need people to understand what we're talking about, what we're mentioning. That makes a difference when users they want to feel heard and they want their problem solved.
Thank you, Gui, for sharing your story and your perspective on Brazil's market. It's been a great look at how OKX is growing in one of the world's most dynamic markets and how digital assets can reshape financial access. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us on the podcast.
Absolutely. No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. And just call me anytime if you need me again.
We'll definitely take you up on that.
All right.
For listeners, do follow our podcast and join us again for the next episode of From the Frontlines, Conversations with OKX Singapore. I'm Osh, and thanks for listening.